All right. Welcome to the RGB Podcast. Remember to like and subscribe. In fact, today we just got a notification from Facebook/Instagram that we're an up and coming whatever. Like we're getting enough views that we got like a special badge for having high engagement and high growth. So like and subscribe. We're up to 60,000 views a month, which is pretty cool. And it just keeps growing. And Rick Egan here. So again, like and subscribe. This podcast is brought to you by the redfinchlab.com, which we process your film. It's really great. But anyway, so we have Rick Egan here, who's been a photographer for the Salt Lake Tribune for how long?
40 years.
40 years. So he has seen everything go on with newspapers. Like you've seen cable TV change news. You've seen the internet change news, seen social media change news. Like you've just seen it all change photography, the rise of video. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the joys of being a staff photographer, which I think is one of the best jobs you can possibly have because you really focus on the shooting. Blast.
Yeah.
So anyway, Rick, what got you started in photography?
Oh man, I don't know. I found my dad's Kodak 828 camera.
828. So it's like not a very nice camera, if I remember.
No, it was kind of the size of 35 millimeter, but it had different holes in it. And so
really?
The film was hard to get. By the time I discovered it,
It wasn't like in a cartridge or something.
It was a roll.
It was a roll.
You had to roll it the old-fashioned way.
Interesting.
And so I found that and started messing with it, and then realized that.
So like rolled like a 120.
Yeah.
Okay, so like two different spools and one spool went to the other.
Rewind it.
Neat.
But the film was really hard to get. They weren't making it anymore. So I grew up in Provo. So I would go to all these stores around here. What were they? They were, we got stuff at drugstores in those days. This is where you bought your film most of the time. Yeah. And so I would look through they had baskets of film that was outdated. And so I had to find outdated 828 film. And so I shot a few rolls through
Did you go to Allen's Camera?
I went to Allen's Camera, yeah.
Yeah, coincidentally, we're in the old Allen's Camera location.
It's
it was
super cool.
Like it was here since 1945, and Red Finch Lab took over that location. So a lot of photo history here. Yeah.
There is. And the cool thing about Allen's is when I couldn't find film for that camera anymore, I talked my dad into helping me get a 35 millimeter camera. And so I went to Allen's and bought a used, it was called a Exacta, I think, some Russian camera. And it actually shot the other way. So like I cocked with my left hand instead of my right. So I would look through my left eye instead of my right. And I still look through my left eye because that camera was like backwards for some reason.
That's amazing. Anyway, like you're finding all these really oddball cameras. It's like, why couldn't you have happened upon a Nikon F?
I don't know.
I mean, that would have been a shortcut.
How I ended up with this Russian camera, but I didn't know how to work it. It didn't, film in those days had a little box that told you where to set stuff if it was sunny or cloudy. But I went and talked to this guy at Allen's, and somehow this guy was able to do in like an hour or something, teach me how f-stops worked. How shutter speeds worked. And he got this little pad of paper and showed me how it all worked the day I bought that camera. And I never forgot it. And I don't know how I memorized that when I was an 8th grader.
Yeah.
Because I taught several photography classes for Weber State University.
Oh, neat.
For, just those.
Like as a part-time adjunct teacher. That's cool.
Yeah, but it's not for college credit, but for, the
community college.
Community college.
Oh, that's fun. That's the best because they're super excited about the medium, right?
But I try to teach people how to, use their cameras without automatic, and it's so hard to do. I can't teach it. I mean, I learned it somehow in an hour, but I can't teach anyone. No, it is so hard to teach.
It is hard. I mean, when I was teaching,
because you don't need to know them anymore, really.
You don't, and it's like an invisible thing about cameras. But I teach it, and I remember like the first day, like when I taught at BYU and stuff, I'd teach it, and I just never wanted to talk about it ever again. But it's really the key part. I mean, that's our f-stop, depth of field. That's one of the key creative controls we have. So they need to understand.
It's a very key part, and if you can't learn that, then you'll never do great photos. You can do good photos on automatic, but all the great shots happen when the light's kind of dramatic and different. And you can't trust automatic settings when you need the fast shutter speed or the low f-stop or whatever. So it's really frustrating not being able to remember how this guy taught me that when I was like, 13 or 14 years old. And I got it. I don't know how I got it. Because I wasn't
Yeah, well, that's a complicated camera to learn on.
Yeah, and I wasn't really that, technically minded, and I wasn't good at physics or mathematics or any of that stuff. But somehow it worked. But no, it's great, and it isn't it is important, but it's not the most fun part of photography. Definitely, I like the art
it's not.
side
The art side you can enjoy infinitely. In fact, I noticed that. Like, to me, you want to get past the technical and just start. And honestly, you'd be surprised. Like, really big photographers, they don't know anything.
Yeah.
Like Dorothea Lange, Ansel Adams complained that he wasn't even sure if she was aware of f-stops.
Oh, how funny!
Like, he's thought like she could kind of gauge what she needed to do it, but she didn't like have creative control over the f-stop and stuff. So what did he say? And it's funny because Ansel Adams is a super positive guy. I read this when I did my project on 3 Mormon towns in southern Utah, that he said, I don't expect people to have the technical proficiency I do, but Dorothea Lange knows nothing. And Dorothea Lange is one of the greatest photographers of all time. Yeah. So anyway, but so you figured it out. And so what got you into the art side of it then? Like,
I don't know.
Like, what would you photograph with those old cameras?
I was... I was kind of scared of photography because I didn't see myself as being super smart, and it seemed like smart people were photographers because you had to know the camera, and a lot of them were gearheads, so they're really crazy about this camera, this lens, what this did, and I was more interested in the product, what kind of pictures it took. Yeah, and I was really fascinated with stop motion and sports stuff. Okay, I was going to be a sports guy.
But you're doing sports with that Russian camera would be impossible. I mean, could you even find like a lens for it? What mount did it have? Like a screw mount?
It was. I don't even know. I only had one lens for it. So
really? Okay, so it wasn't. Yeah.
I don't even know if it was a single lens reflex. Actually, if the lens even came off.
But, okay, so it could just been a fixed lens.
But anyway, yeah. But it just. I mean, I was scared of that because it seemed like kind of a nerdy thing to carry around a camera, and I didn't understand. If people asked me about the camera, I didn't know much about it. But I took pictures mainly of my friends playing sports.
Okay.
And I love concerts, and so when I got my first camera, I
it's a good excuse to have front row seats on a concert.
Well,
I mean, really,
they didn't care at the Salt Palace. You could walk up front, and I shot.
Did you have like any sort of credential or anything? Nothing. You just walked up with the camera with your Russian camera.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, no, I got a Fujica ST701. When I was
a Fuji 701?
ST701.
A Fujica?
Fujica.
Yeah, no, it was my first camera was a Fujica.
Yeah, I bought it out. It was bought at Allen's. I got it for Christmas.
Interesting. I bought mine like $60 at a pawn shop or something. Anyway.
I think I was in 9th grade by then. But
well, that's cool. 9th grade, and you had the nerve to go do that.
Wow. I didn't. I saw the James Gale Ice House in 9th grade. Yeah. But I didn't go to a concert and photograph it till I was going to the Salt Palace.
Yeah. The weird thing is when you're young, super young, it's easier to get access.
Oh yeah,
I mean, like a 9th grader could get anything.
Yeah,
like what is it? There's like Richard Bronson got an interview with the Rolling Stones when he was like in 8th grade, and people are always asking him, "How did you do that?" It's like, honestly, I think it'd be harder to do that now than it would be when I was in the 8th grade.
Probably, yeah.
But anyway, so you good camera.
I'd walk down the aisles, and I would take. I took pictures of everything from Jethro Tull to.
Oh wow, because this was like classic. High rock time. What years is this?
This would have been 1975.
Oh yeah, it's the peak of rock and roll. Yeah.
So I did, every concert that came there.
The Who.
We would skip school and go to ZCMI, and when the doors opened, they had these glass doors, and you didn't know which side that they would open the doors. So you had to have like 4 guys, so one of you could get there first, and you'd run up the escalator. Mm-hmm. That was faster than the elevator.
And that's where they'd sell the tickets.
And that's where you had to get your tickets in those days.
That's so nice. And I mean, relative to like. Scalpers and online, right?
But Salt Lake, no matter how quick you got there, Salt Lake somehow sold all the good tickets. So in Provo, the best you could get was like the 20th row. Okay. Section 21 or somewhere.
Yeah, and back then tickets were probably reasonably priced. They weren't like $500 and stuff.
I just leave my seat and walk down the aisle and shoot a couple rolls of film and then walk back. And so
to me, this is why I always tell you go ahead.
Chris, Aerosmith.
And you could just go back. So you'd shoot like 2 or 3 rolls. Yeah. And they'd let you.
Yeah.
They wouldn't stop you.
No one stopped me. No one even said anything about it when, I don't know, probably about 3 years later, I think they would have rules and cameras.
Maybe that was like just the joys of being in Salt Lake and Park, kind of more relaxed.
Yeah. So I started with concerts and sports. My friends played sports. I was going to be a football player, a basketball player, a golfer or something my whole junior high growing up, until I found out I wasn't good enough.
Until you met somebody who's 6'8", you're like, holy cow!
But that was my life. I didn't see myself as an artsy guy or a photo guy necessarily. But I had an uncle that was that taught at BYU. That was Don Marshall was the humanitarian or non-humanitarian, he taught humanities. So
but wasn't he over the International Cinema Program? That name is famous.
Yeah.
And during its glory days when it was really great.
Yeah, he was amazing. And so...
that was your uncle?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And he was a great photographer. He could do anything.
Oh, really?
He wrote books. He did plays. He could sing, dance. He did everything.
Yeah.
But he was a great photographer. And so that's what kind of got me into the art part of photography. I remember a specific thing where my brother was on his mission in Denmark and had this great shot of a duck out in the middle of this beautiful pond in Copenhagen somewhere. And my mom was showing it to my uncle at the house, and he said, "Oh, that's a pretty picture. It's too bad that the swan's in the middle." And my mom like, "What do you mean the middle? It's supposed to be there. That's a perfect spot. There's supposed to be." And he goes,
That's
"No,
funny.
Anywhere but the middle." And I remember, as like a 12-year-old or something, 13-year-old thinking, why does it matter if it's in the middle or not?
Yeah.
What's this all about? But I never forgot that because I didn't know the rule of thirds. I didn't know anything about composition.
Yeah.
But I thought about that a lot as I looked at other pictures and thought, it is better if it's off to the side a little bit. And it feels better if it's not exact all the time.
Yeah.
And that was huge to me. And then he also took some pictures for the church magazines for the Ensign and the Era. And my mom was so proud of those, showing them to everyone. And I'm looking at that. And my mom thought he never took a bad picture in his life. I would go through a roll of film and need money for another roll of film. And, well, Don, my brother, never took a bad picture. So he just takes one picture of everything.
Oh, okay. Because she never saw like the process or whatever. Yeah.
I'm sure they weren't all perfect, but he was good. So anyway, I thought a lot about that too. It's like, well, you need to take time to do it. If you do it in one picture, I can't just snap pictures, and I looked at his compositions and that was really the thing that got me wanting to do art kind of stuff.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
But still, it was a hobby. I was still going to play golf or something cooler than a photographer.
There you go.
In those days.
There you go. Well, of course. I mean, that's like, when you're a kid. I don't know. Like, I think that every kid, I remember like I played soccer in high school and I was always amazed how many people would try out for the team. It's like 200 people. Like I'd play soccer like around town during the summer. And then tryouts would happen, and all of a sudden, everyone's a soccer player. I'm like, well, you're not playing around town. Like, if I haven't seen you around, you're probably not going to make the team. Like, if you don't want to like do this on the weekend,
that's right,
I think they're just like, oh, tryouts, I'll go do it. But yeah, maybe soccer back then particularly had a stigma because people were so uninformed about the sport that they just thought, oh, anyone could do it. But anyway. So
I started. I had a friend of mine. His dad was taking pictures of us playing basketball in the driveway one Sunday afternoon in 7th grade, and I'm asking what he's doing. And he's in the photography class at Provo High. With Mr. Zupan, who taught there.
Oh, did Zupan teach photography?
Yeah,
that's interesting. He was
teaching these adult night classes, and so he said, "You ought to come up with me sometime. He's interested in photo. It's really fun to see how these pictures come up." So I went over there, and I'm taking. I'm watching these pictures come up of us playing basketball, and it just blew me away. It was like the coolest thing ever.
Oh my goodness.
And so that kind of hooked me. And then I had another friend named Steve Alpin who also liked to take pictures, and he was just a year older than me, but much smarter and much more, I don't know, much more energetic. But anyway, so I take him over and he watches it and he was blown away. So this is so cool. And he said, how much does it cost to take this class? Where do you find a darkroom? How could we do this? And he's like, I think they sell those enlargers at Allen's Photo or somewhere, don't they? Can't we just go buy one and do our own in the basement? And I'm like, I don't know. And I had a paper route. I was delivered the Herald.
So you had some money.
So I made $20 a month.
Yeah.
But somehow Alpin lent me some money and we actually bought it at the BYU bookstore, this really cheap enlarger.
Oh, they had them in the bookstore.
Then we went to Allen's and the guy wrote down all the stuff, the same friend of mine that taught me about my camera.
Yeah.
You have to get Dectal, and then you have to get,
the steps,
stop bath and all this stuff. And we on our bikes, we're carrying out these big bags of.
No, you couldn't even drive yet.
Right, yeah. And we set up a thing in the basement. So that was really one of the magical things too that got me interested in it. It was just seeing a picture develop, and I could put on my records and listen to Led Zeppelin or something and sit in the basement. I had my speakers into the little room and develop pictures. It was like the coolest thing in the world.
No, that's such a great story. That's just endearing.
But I didn't know what I was doing.
Back then,
I had no idea what I was doing.
No idea. Well, still.
But we figured it out.
You figure out you could make prints and you did it, pretty much on your own.
Yeah, my paper route came to right down by that community church, I think was on the corner.
Yeah.
And so I would ride down with my paper bags and come down to Allen's and grab my paper and stick the 8x10 poly contrast paper in my bag, and then go back. And then after my route, I developed some pictures. And it was kind of a cool thing, but I was still a little nervous to tell people about it because I didn't feel artsy enough. I didn't feel like I was good enough to show people what I was doing for a while. Yeah. I didn't dare be on the yearbook staff or anything.
Oh, so in high school you weren't in yearbook, you didn't do like newspaper or anything?
I was on the newspaper staff my senior year.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
As a photographer, as a writer?
As a photographer, yeah.
Well, there you go. That's something.
So my big regret is I still didn't think it was cool to carry a camera around. So I've got some fun shots of the people in the class.
Yeah.
And I shot pictures of the assignments, football games, basketball games, concerts, but I didn't take the camera anywhere else. I don't have any pictures of graduation. I've got nothing of us messing around. Yeah. Nothing of us skateboarding or doing stupid stuff we did, because I still felt weird about it. Mm-hmm. I was too shy to carry a camera on my neck. So at all my high school reunions, I'm the only photographer for a living, probably out of my class. And when you're in starting out in the field, you don't realize how rare it is to make a living from photography. It's super rare. There's probably maybe 20, and this is a stretch, I really think it's probably 20 people with a job like you in the state of Utah, and it's 4 million people. Seriously, yeah.
Maybe it's 10. I think it's 10. Yeah. I mean, I'm just putting that in there in case there's somebody in St. George I'm not aware of, But yeah. So anyway, go on. It's a really rare job. It's really rare. It's high profile, but it's really rare.
And I didn't know it was a thing. Yeah, I didn't know it could be a career. But I just, so in all my reunions, the high school reunion, the 5-year, they wanted me to do a slideshow, and it's like I've got like a handful of stuff of 5 or 6 of us messing around in our journalism class once. Yeah. But that's it. And so I had to go to Echo and to. I can't remember all their names now, but there were 4 or 5 other photographers at the Provo High that were as good or better than me, probably better. And they took pictures all the time. So I went to them, and they just gave me all their colored slides. They gave me their negatives. And so I built this slideshow for my 5-year reunion because I had nothing. It was so embarrassing.
Interesting. So they asked you for it.
Yeah, they asked me for it. So all the pictures they have me do it almost every reunion now because it's kind of fun to see those. Oh yeah, of course. We'll see when you were young and good looking back in the day. Everyone thinks they're ugly in high school. It's actually the best you're gonna ever look. So sorry. Yeah, but the styles were crazy too.
Oh yeah, mid-70s. Oh gosh, that's peak.
So those
like your whole childhood sounds like a movie. Because this happened in the mid-70s, right?
No,
it's like you lived in Brady Bunch, Yeah. Anyway.
No, it is, but that was real embarrassing. But it was cool because we got a lot of people's pictures up there that weren't my friends. You know how you kind of just shoot pictures of your friends or the cool guys.
That's the hardest thing.
Guys, and the smart guys take pictures of the smart guys and the whatever
clique you're in. Yeah.
So the pictures aren't cliquey, which was very cool to get pictures of all these people that wasn't just me and my 3 or 4 friends that I did take pictures of. But anyway, no, I had no idea it could be a
job.
It could be a job. I didn't know.
Well, honestly, I think that's a partially symptom of like growing up in a place like Utah. Like when I went to graduate school, I was surprised. Most everyone came from California, New York. If I ever told anybody I was from Utah, they'd be like shocked. And because it's like, and it's, to me, like all of them were aware, like they thought artists was like a job because they grew up around artists in New York. Or you grew up with photographers. Yeah. But like, if you're not like you don't really know, like the richest people for me when I grew up in Provo it was doctors, dentists, and lawyers. And that was kind of it. Then it was kind of just a bunch of other pretty normal jobs. So like exotic jobs didn't exist.
Yeah. I didn't know.
Yeah. So you didn't even know like a photographer would exist, right? You wouldn't know a photographer.
No, I mean, there was, what was the guy's name at the Herald? There were a couple of people.
I mean, there'd be around. Yeah, the Daily Herald would,
But they were kind of older guys at the time, and I don't know. I think until I saw Tom Smart carrying a camera around.
Oh, so that's
that's a cool dude carrying that camera around. And
when did you see him?
At football games and stuff when I was at BYU.
When you were at BYU, so you're doing BYU, and so you'd see him at BYU football games.
Yeah.
And Tom Smart, he was Elizabeth Smart's uncle, so he kind of is actually globally famous because of the Elizabeth Smart thing. But he was the photo editor at the Deseret News, which was, you're probably not rivals anymore because whatever. But it was like the rival paper to the Salt Lake Tribune back in the day, Yeah. But anyway, so he's a figure. So he was influenced. So how old was he when you?
Yeah, I don't know. He's probably 10 years older than
10
me.
years.
So he'd been doing a little bit.
To me, when I saw those guys, like when I was first starting in photography, I just thought they were gods. Like I'd see their camera bag with like that cool gear. And I'd just be like, I want to be you. In fact, when I worked in high school, I worked for the Daily Herald. And I remember one coming up, and one of the photographers, used to come in like 20-roll boxes. And like, you'd just get it. I can't remember what it was, like the Fuji. And it's like, it was even branded photojournalism. Kodak had a brand just for photojournalism, and Fuji, but I think they shot Fuji. Anyway, he had 2 rolls of 20 rolls, 2 boxes of 20 rolls film just in his back seat. And I was just like, oh my goodness, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That he just like throws it in the back seat. For me, they're precious gems that I had to baby. Yeah. And I was like, I want to be someday where I have like 40 rolls just in the back of my car. So anyway, they didn't have
to roll their own. Like
they'd have to roll your own.
We were still rolling our own.
I would do the weirdest things too, because I couldn't afford canisters. So I would just take an old canister, like from Worldwide Photo, the old photo lab that was here that I worked at in high school. And I would tape my film onto the old leader, and then I'd wind it in.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
And it worked. The only problem with it is sometimes the packing tape would rip off like in advance. And so then I had to go in the dark and like, be careful. But yeah, it's hilarious. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, they had to roll their own. So many ways to cut costs. Like when you're starting out in photography back then, getting film was really hard.
Yeah, yeah.
You're just a kid. You're like, I don't have like $50 to spend on film.
No, I thought I would grow up and like my brothers were super smart, and they were statistics majors, and they all got master's degrees, and my one brother worked for IBM, the other one worked for Eastman Kodak and Hallmark Cards and Weyerhaeuser,
same here,
paper company and everything. So I thought they were much older than me, and I thought, well, when I get out of high school after my mission, so I'll decide what I want to do, and then I'll be interested enough in business to sit and learn something that's going to make me money.
Yeah.
But anyway, I heard when I was at BYU, I heard that you could get paid if you were a photo editor at BYU for the universe. And so I thought, well, that'd be cool to be paid and take pictures. Because I went to Snow College for a year. Yeah. And at Snow College, I worked on the yearbook staff.
Okay. So that was probably your first real thing in it.
It was, but I was really an idiot then. I didn't take a photo class in high school. Mm-hmm. I didn't take a photo class at Snow College. I thought I knew everything. I didn't darkroom in my basement. I don't need to take any classes. So I did. And Mr. Crane, the guy that was in charge of the yearbook, and the guy that was in charge, he wasn't in charge of the yearbook, but the photo lab and all the photo classes said you couldn't use the school's darkroom unless you took a class.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And I thought I was, I was just a stupid, 18-year-old at the time.
There you go.
Everything. So there's no way I was going to take his class. So anyway, there's a guy named Brad Jones who had been a photographer the year before, and he needed more photographers. He's like, well, you got to come and shoot. And it's like, well, I can't. I'm not taking Crane's class. I have too many other classes I would rather take.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, what we can do is I've got a key to that building, and we can just go in, like after 10 o'clock at night. He won't come around.
Yeah.
So we did the entire yearbook in the middle of the night. We would go in. We'd carry my record player and my records in there and set it up. And then we would just develop all our film and do all our pictures in the middle of the night. And it was super cool to be in this big, huge, the noise building and Ephraim, Utah, all alone, listening to records in the middle of the night and this thing. So that was a cool thing, and it was a fun thing, and I thought I had gotten by without someone telling me, how to take pictures.
Mm-hmm. Well, so that's a good way to do it.
Yeah, then I get to BYU, and I want to do it, and they said, you have to talk to Nelson Wadsworth. He's the one that teaches that class, and I go in and talk to Nelson. Nelson's like, have you taken, this class or this class and this class? And it's like, no, well, you need to take those first. I said, why have a darkroom in my basement, Well,
so would that get you access?
Nowhere. So he made me take all these classes from Wally Barris, and Wally was amazing, but it was really, really hard. I just got beat up like crazy because of my bad printing and my high contrast pictures and I just didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue what I was doing.
Yeah, we're using Tri-X. I mean, so using Tri-X, you're overdeveloping the Tri-X.
But basically. I liked it. I liked the high contrast. I thought it was cool.
No, it's fine.
No stuff. Yeah. But it didn't get you a good score in the portrait class, in Wally's portrait class.
Interesting.
So I really got beaten up in there. But anyway, it got me into Nelson's class, which was I think 365, the photojournalism class.
Yeah.
And that class had like 28 people when I enrolled.
Amazing. I just can't imagine photojournalism being that popular.
I was so overwhelmed. Just like, I really am getting beat up in Wally's classes. I don't know what I'm doing. What am I doing here? But it would be cool to get paid working in the summer to, as a photo editor. And somehow it worked out. I went to this photojournalism conference, the flying short courses they had.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Back in the day. Yeah. That was cool.
They sent us to Denver. They asked us to go to who wanted to go to
BYU
thing.
students to Denver.
Yeah.
Wow, that's really nice.
And it's like Anthony Sua was there doing, the stuff in Ethiopia. There was Day in the Life of Australia was first Day in the Life book was coming out, and some other photographer did.
Was Weekly Life still being published at this point?
Yeah.
It was. So yeah, photojournalism was huge. Like when Weekly Life went down.
Monthly, but Life was still being
published. Life was a bit, really, for younger listeners, Life was a magazine that like the whole country read for a very long period of time. And then TV began to kill it. But like, I mean, its circulation was like in the tens of millions when the population in the country was in the 100 million people. It was amazing. But anyway, go on.
So anyway, somehow on this trip as we're driving back, Nelson kind of takes me by the side, and says, "Hey, so, what's your major?" And I said, "Well, I'm communications." He said, "Well, you need to switch to journalism."
Yeah.
He says, "I think you've got what it takes. You could do this for a living. Have you thought of that?" And I'm like, I don't know. And I really hadn't thought of it. But after going to that flying short course, it wasn't what I expected. I expected him to talk about f-stops and lenses and film and all this stuff. And it was about people. It was about changing lives. It was about using your camera to make a difference, to tell these stories that changed people's lives, that changed the way things were done. It changed, that helped the little guy.
Yeah.
And I was just blown away. One of the guys, I can't think of his name right now, did a thing on drug projects in the drug reading projects on the west side of Chicago and stuff. But the pictures were so incredible, but no one talked about exposures and flashes and lights. And since I wasn't a gearhead, I was like, I like photography, but I don't know if I'm good, if I care enough about cameras and about lighting and about film and about developing and pushing film and all that stuff to do it for a living. But I care about people. And
that's 99% of it. Yeah. Basically, you just want to get the equipment to get out of the way, Yeah,
I mean, I took that, I went to that class, and then he asked me that question, and I thought maybe I can do this. It totally changed everything. I was working part-time at the state hospital as a psychiatric aide. Yeah. And I really liked that. I had to take psychology classes to stay, whatever the word is, to stay certified, I guess. Yeah. And so I loved the psychology classes and was kind of thinking that was the direction at that point in time. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, Nelson probably said that to everybody. But somehow I doubt it. No, I mean, just as a former teacher, you don't say that to everybody. But that was a life-changing trip. That little trip over. I went to I got the U2 album October at this radio giveaway the night before, 2 nights before we left for this trip, and I was listening to U2 on my Walkman. Remember those Sony Walkmans? I taped it that night.
Everything seems so classic.
No, but it's like, but I'm on this thing and I'm listening to U2 and I'm thinking about photography and I'm thinking about these people and I'm listening to the lyrics and it's like, this is cool. I might be able to do something that I really enjoy and something that makes a difference. Yeah. And that never hit me until that moment.
No, and that's the amazing thing about particularly photography during mass print media and stuff. To me, like when I was shooting, I would just think like, I'm the eyes for tens of thousands of people. Like this event, especially if you're shooting for a paper like the Salt Lake Tribune, like you're the eyes, you take that picture, even if it's of a concert and, or whatever, your photograph of the game, and you're the way they experience everyone that when that printing press is churning out, that your image is their experience with that event. I mean, I just found that amazing.
It's a lot of responsibility. It really is when you think about it. And I thought it was really cool at the Daily Universe, getting my name in the paper and seeing my name on pictures. But but then you hear other people talk about them and you hear other people critiquing the pictures in the paper and people in Wally Barris's photo classes talking about how bad the pictures were in the Daily Universe.
And it's like, it's your picture.
And Wally's saying, Rick over here is in that class. Funny. Do you want to ask him, tell him about that stuff? Because I think, generally art photographers and kind of think of their, whatever part of photography you're in, you kind of feel like that's the best or the most important or the hardest to do.
Yeah, it's true.
Or you need to be.
Well, they have different priorities every field of photography. So like, I mean, to me, like I've worked in a whole lot of different ones. And I do think like photojournalism, I mean, people who don't know photography, and I've experienced this like from landscape photographers, I have to say in particular, they're like, well, you're not doing this right, this right, this right, and this right. He's like, yeah, but I got like the picture that communicates what I want to say.
That's right.
Whereas like landscape photographers, because a mountain is unmovable, and a very patient subject has been there for millions of years, they can just go through this checklist. But when you're dealing with people, it's an interaction. You're not going to get someone to show up at the perfect magic hour and, you mess with your camera forever but so people don't understand the priorities of it. And honestly, if you're not familiar with it, just like with writing, I mean, there's different styles of writing, like technical writing has different priorities than poetry and so on. But,
it was kind of hard being in the photo classes with the people that were like juniors and seniors, and I was a sophomore, and they were critiquing the paper because it was grainy or whatever. But
well, I mean, the paper. I mean, I
have to,
Well, I think it's an interesting thing, and that's unique. I have to admit that was unique to the Daily Universe. Like I was a photo editor there for my freshman year for a semester, and I do think there's kind of somehow they got a culture that like it's a class. Like you sign up for the class, and then your pictures are published.
Whether they're good or not.
No, they're good or not. It shouldn't run that way. It should be like there can be a photojournalism class, but then like the top 5 people who are in that class should be the ones who are published.
Yeah.
Like it's not like an entitlement that your photographs get published. Like I remember when I started as a photo editor there, it was me and this guy who was like a sports writer who I just think wanted a job. I don't even think he knew how to operate a camera.
Yeah.
And then anyway, it was like not a good team. And I was photographing for the Deseret News part-time. So I was like, I don't need to do this. I'll just keep doing, I have plenty of opportunities to photograph. But anyway, so they were common punching bag. In fact, I remember even once, and I was like, I don't want to be here. Like one of the reporters on the Daily Universe, when I was there working for a semester, was like, oh, you're the photo editor. Can you get us some half-decent photos? I'm like, dude, like we're dealing with, we're basically publishing intro to photography classes. Right, and like, I'm taking this crap, like I'm the spearhead of this. I'm like, I don't want to stand for this. So anyway.
It was also interesting because we had like 28 people in that first class, but about 14 of them dropped out within about 2 weeks.
Oh, did they? He must have taught it hard then.
He wanted people who were serious.
Well, that's probably the way they maintain quality control, whereas that didn't happen when I was there.
I think by the end, there were like 8 of us. And 3 or 4.
By the end? That many people drop out?
We had like 8 by the end of the thing.
They're like taking incompletes? They're taking E's or what?
I don't know what they did.
How did they manage that grade-wise?
But it was a hard class. George Fry was in my class, and he
taught it when I was there.
Stuff. Yeah, he's still. I think maybe
is he still around
now? Yeah, he lives in Provo.
No, interesting. Yeah.
But he's a real hustler and has done a lot of great stuff. And we were
he shoots for every wire
together.
You possibly can imagine. Yeah.
But the other photographers, a couple went on and were commercial photographers.
Also, you had a lot of talent in that class.
We did.
That's good.
But Nelson always talked about Ravel Call. He was just a few years older than me, and he talked about I can't think of the other guy's name right at the moment, but it was he was really good, and there were a lot of people that came out of using. Nelson was kind of I don't even know what you would call him, kind of a protege. I don't know what he helped so many of us. It's unbelievable. Pat Bagley just retired a couple of weeks ago. And Nelson was there.
Oh, really?
He had Nelson come up to the front of the room before he gave his speech.
Oh, really? So he was that
Nelson
influential.
Made that much to me. He ran Nelson ran his first cartoon because Bagley wrote a cartoon
at the Daily Universe
before he was at the Universe.
Oh, interesting.
And the Universe already had a cartoonist, and so the first guy turned him down, and then Nelson's like, "No, we're going to run this." What? It ended up in Time magazine for some reason.
This first cartoon? Yeah. Wow, that's something.
But Nelson did that for so many people. And so
well, you could spot talent then. That's
it
great.
Was super, super cool. But I ran into him at a wedding reception, and we're in line together and in August, and he says, "So what are you doing right now?" And I said, "Well, I'm just finishing up summer semester, whatever it was, the block was."
Yeah.
And he says, "Could you be down in Price on Monday morning? There's an internship open there, and I think it'd be really good for you." And this is like Friday night.
In Price?
Yeah, in Price, Utah. This is an Advocate.
Oh, an Advocate, really?
And I'm like, well, maybe, because I'd heard legendary stories of Ravel going down there, and all these other great photographers went down and worked in Price as an internship. And so it wasn't offered to everybody.
And Advocate was a paper back then.
Yeah, the Sun Advocate. Nelson took
Price is a super small town.
Yeah, he took a sabbatical.
It's a coal mining town. Yeah.
And he took that little newspaper who ran pictures of people with their trophy elk and baseball teams and people with their fish and stuff. And he outlawed all those pictures. And he wanted it to be photojournalism like you would see in a big city paper.
Wow.
So we did a picture story every week.
Amazing.
We had fake tabs had to have a main picture.
Yeah.
And then we covered CEU. We covered Kanab, or Carbon High, East Carbon High. Anyway, it was that was like the other thing that kind of made up my mind, because I was thinking about doing psychology because I like the state hospital, but I quit that job, went down to Price 3 days later, and like 3 days into an internship was like, this is the coolest job in the world. This is so much fun.
It is so much fun.
I was doing sports on the weekend. I was doing the rodeo. I was doing Miss Carbon County pageant. I was doing, I was going out with the duck hunter at 4 a.m. and getting shots for a picture page. I mean, it just was so cool. I got to meet all these people. I just didn't think of that as being such a big part of the job,
Yeah, no, to me, amazing thing about shooting for a newspaper is like you literally always, every day you go to work and you're whatever the most interesting thing going on in the state is, you're there. Yeah. I mean, you're there. And like, it's every day, like all week. It's so much fun.
The second or third week, I've got these elephants pulling up a circus tent. I didn't know they still did that.
See,
they would
there you
hook
go.
These things to these elephants and they would run and the tent would go up.
Yeah.
And I rode an elephant in the parade. I mean, it was just magically cool.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
Yeah.
So that was a huge thing for me to be the one photographer in the whole town. And I think
you're like a celebrity. You're there. You're making everyone's day, right? Because you're like, oh, you're going to put me in the paper. Could you put me in the paper? You're like, maybe. We'll see.
Yeah. Al Hartman was there before me, and who later worked at the Tribune with me for about 25 years. But he was like the coolest cat around, and we drove around his Jeep, and he's showing me all the places, and everyone's waving at him. It's like, how does everyone in the whole town know you? You've only lived here a few years. And he had just graduated from Utah State, but that's kind of how it was there, that we had the Domkey bag that had Sun Advocate on it. So
it even said it. Oh, that's funny.
Knew who you were.
That's great.
For better or for worse.
Yeah, that. Anyway. Back then, people like the press more, and especially a small town paper, right? You're not you're not running like scandals or anything.
Yeah. But that was really it was a cool place. I finished up at Price, and then I got married, and then I had 2 more semesters left, and I sent out a million resumes, and I had a portfolio. for photojournalism. Yeah, jobs. Trying to get a real job.
It's so hard to get a job.
No one, I got all these letters back saying, I wanted to go to the Seattle Times or the LA Times. Or
of course. Yeah.
Eugene Register Guard or something. But all the things came back and said you needed 5 years experience on a daily.
Yeah, that's
and
what
it's
it
like, how am I going to do that? There's not even an opening at the Herald right now. What am I going to do?
Yeah.
And then I run into a guy just right down the street here in Provo one day that was worked at the Sun Advocate and said that they were looking for hiring someone full time.
Yeah.
They were tired of the internship. Nelson at that point had moved to Utah State. So he switched to Utah State about the time I graduated.
Like teaching Utah State?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so they no longer had like that path to the internships.
Okay.
So Gary McKellar went down after me, and he was an amazing photographer, and he won all these awards when he was Mountain.
Yeah.
Created that lake and buried the town of Thistle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so they had some really good people in between me and then, but they really didn't have anyone ready to come down because Nelson was in Logan.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why don't you come down again? And I'm like, I don't know. Can you start on Monday? It was like the whole thing all over again. And I was like, yeah. So I went down and worked there another 1.5 years, and it was super cool. My first child was born there.
So you were a staff photographer for the paper you interned at?
Yeah, which is exactly the same as being an intern.
It is.
I got paid $25. I think I got $250 a week instead of $225.
No, it's funny.
Which is what I was before.
I'm going to say this is an unnamed paper, but like I worked for a paper, and like the full-time photographer, like he just like I would get work from him, and he was like sick all the time. He had a bad back. And then one time he went on vacation for 2 weeks, and like my job didn't change. And then he got like later on, like 2 years. I was 2 years later. I'd gone and started working for another paper, and I was talking to one of the reporters there. I was like, "Oh, great! How is Stuart going?" And everything. He's like, "Well, he's having." Oh, shoot. I will delete that editor. Delete that name. But anyway, how is he doing? And she said, well, he's in big trouble because he's basically been passing off his whole job on to stringers. Oh, wow. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I was like, oh, I was doing the full-time photographer at that point. But anyway, So then he had to route his assignments rather than just on sheets. They had to go through the main database. But in fact, cut out this whole thing. Anyway, because this is a small world and I don't want to get anybody in trouble. You probably know who I'm talking about.
Yeah. No, but it's hard, and then you get a job and you're the only photographer down there and you start to think you're kind of cool or you know what you're doing. And I won an award,
Yeah, well, especially when you're just starting out, and every job's exciting. It's the first time you photograph that festival. It's not like the 5th year you photograph that festival. Yeah. I mean, that's just a real fun time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fun for 2 or 3 years, and then it's like I had to get out of there. I don't know if I could have done another international days and another pageant. And
there's like a rhythm to them in a small town paper. There's like, the Freedom Festival's come up again or whatever.
And there still is. There still is. I'm probably doing the 24th of July parade again, but I love it. I really like those things, and I think it's challenging doing something over and over, trying to get something better than your best shot all those years, which is almost impossible, but it gives you something to shoot for. And I like that, but go ahead.
Oh, no. But I mean, to me, an amazing thing about the job, and that's the realization I had, is that my biggest drag is that I have to do the same thing once every year. Whereas most things you do every day. That's right. The exact same thing. Right. I mean, and it's a parade. Yeah. It's like, a parade, whatever. It's like, it's a parade. Well, conferences they're designed to be interesting.
But other than that.
Oh, yeah. But even then.
And that's even kind of fun.
That's like the closest you get to an office job. Right.
Yeah. But the other thing, there's one more person that was huge in my early photography life. Yeah, there's a guy named Dave LaBelle that worked at Ogden, and he had won tons and tons of contests. He won everything for a couple of years in Ogden at the time, and he was good friends with Randy, who was the editor in Price, who later was at the Provo Herald. Yeah, but he had Dave come down and work with me a couple times. Mm-hmm. And so I was thinking I was pretty good. I'd won a couple contests and I was doing these photo pages and stuff. So LaBelle came down with me and we went out to the town of Kenilworth, this old mining town. Yeah. And he just kind of went with me as we were doing stuff. And I would shoot pictures and he'd shoot over my shoulder, and I'm thinking, this is cool being with Dave LaBelle, shooting all this stuff, but not thinking about, I'm thinking our stuff's going to look exactly the same. Yeah. We both got Nikons. We both have the same lenses. We're doing the same
this
thing.
Nikon F era still, or are we Nikon F2?
Oh, I was... It
just to give me like a timeline.
FE. Nikon FE.
Oh, Nikon FE. Okay.
Yeah. So it was sort of on electronic a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyway, LaBelle goes back. He was working in Ogden and sends back these like full-page Xerox copies of his favorite pictures in Price. Yeah. And so Randy hands them to me. Hey, here's the stuff Dave sent me. And I've been sending Dave my clips, and he would critique them for me, which was super nice of him. And he was very super kind to me. Yeah. But anyway, so I'm looking at these pictures, and it's like, these are amazing. These are so much better than mine. And it just threw me because I thought I knew what I was doing. I had the lenses. I knew how to work, how to do a wide angle and how to do a telephoto. Yeah. But his wide angle lenses were like in their face. I mean, they were like right there. He had the great expressions. I mean, his stuff was just so much better than mine. Mm-hmm. It just killed me. I mean, I knew why he was winning all the awards, and I would win something once a year because he had this eye. I mean, he was looking, and so then I got to talk to him about that, and he was able to, he's like, it's a moment. You're looking for a moment. Yeah. It's like who's the famous artist that. Norman Rockwell. It's like a Norman Rockwell doesn't just paint pictures; he paints moments. Yeah, and you need to find those moments. You need to wait for those moments. You can't just go shoot pictures and expect to get something good. So all these pictures of me and this woman, and the pictures like this, and the woman's this big, and the woman takes the whole frame and you can see her face, and it's done perfectly. So that was really huge for me to see that, and then try to mimic that. See, I got it's more than just getting it in focus, and it's more than just getting the right exposure. It's like, it's these moments that matter. Yeah. And he had a book that he had published that he gave me that was super cool too, about finding the decisive moment kind of thing. Yeah. Kind of the idea. That wasn't the name of it, but anyway, so he was huge in my development as a photographer. No, that's wonderful. You had so many great mentors all around you. You can't just get a picture. You can't just go grab a picture. You need to wait for that moment. And if you don't get that moment, it's not worth shooting, it's not worth publishing. It's not worth worrying about. Yeah. And I hadn't realized that after working a full year as a photographer in that paper. I didn't know what I was doing. It's one of those crazy, weird things. But yeah. Well, to me, like a hard thing about photography, there's like different, particularly photojournalism or any sort of documentary work. Like, I feel like you kind of build up. First, you can take like maybe one picture that kind of is like, gets you there. I don't know. That's passable. But then it's being able to do a series of 5, and then 10, and then 20, and being able to build more complicated ideas. And like masters like Muriel and Mark, or, James Noctway, like we were talking about them previously, like they get up to like, they can do 200 on images on a really complicated subject. And you don't really appreciate it until you've been in the medium for a while. And you're like, oh my goodness, I know almost nobody can pull this off. Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how you build, but also having that one good image. I mean, that's the starting point, but getting variations on a theme, being able to explore a theme, and keep it interesting. It's like the parade photo. Yeah. Where there's a girl on the float. There's kids in the crowd. Okay, where do I go from here?
No, and I work with some amazing photographers. Trent Nelson has like the funkiest, coolest look at thing. He comes in with all these photos that I wouldn't have even thought to look at or look for.
Yeah, he's definitely out of box thinker. I remember he used to have like 2 little eyeballs on his camera.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know, that's a pretty good trick actually.
But he just has this eye that's incredible. That it's really helped to work with him all these years. And then Francisco never shoots a bad shot. He pre-thinks everything and sets things up and knows exactly what he's doing. And Leo was a master at doing those layers of pictures, of not just doing one good shot, but finding these things. And so it's really been, I've been really blessed to work with amazing people. And then Steve Griffin was incredible too, who I worked with for years, and Hartman. And so it's really been cool to be able to kind of have like a family of people to work with, because they, I started, Al had worked there a year before I did, and he was there probably close to 35 years. And so it's really it's a beautiful career to be able to work day by day with these people. And we do a lot of stuff together too. We don't get to go to lunch anymore like we used to, which is really sad. When we were developing film, we'd do our film and stick it in the dryer and then go to lunch for an hour and a half.
No, to me, like the digital switch, because I was there right at the switch to digital, it was kind of a double-edged sword. It was nice, you didn't have to process film, but also I felt like it made, so all of a sudden the expectations went up. It's like, now you need to do 5 shoots in a day, not 3. And then you're like, anyway, it's hard.
Yeah, it is. it is hard.
But but the processing, it was kind of like a good respite, and you could even justify more photographers because you had to process your own stuff. And scan it, and then like do the Photoshop. It was like work. But then like when that work went away, it was like, oh, well, we can fire half of you and you can do 5 shoots a day.
That's right. And that's where I got my love for the Grateful Dead. Al Hartman and Dan Miller love the Grateful Dead, and they would listen to that in the darkroom.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting in there. I was learning about all this other kinds of music and all this other stuff, and it was cool. There was a cool camaraderie of printing pictures in the same room, and we all had these 2 little dark rooms. I guess there were 3 of us to these little rooms that we would do our film in and stuff. But it was kind of a cool kind of brotherhood kind of thing.
No, it's like you're on a team. It's really fun to work with the team photographers, and newspapers only one of the few places you got to do that.
Yeah. So we kind of lost that a little bit because we're shooting from all over the place now. And
so I mean, do you even go into the office? Do you just like look on the computer, get your job, go shoot it from your house, come back and send it from your house?
We haven't really had an office since COVID.
Oh, really?
We had an earthquake around.
So the whole Salt Lake Tribune is work at home now.
We had we were mainly on the 7th floor. We went down to the 6th floor, and so we've had workstations.
Okay.
And so the photographers have had we can work in the studio, so we'll go in there and edit our stuff and have meetings and stuff. And so we have kind of a little clubhouse in there. But we just moved to the New Yorker building, or we'll be moved in there. The New Yorker, which was the Market Street Grill building.
Oh, okay. New Yorker building. That sounds so.
I know.
So fancy.
So it's it's kind of a tiny little place, but we'll have desks for everyone for the.
How many square feet is it?
I have no idea.
It's like
our studio's like a third the size, but we're excited about it because. Up until now, you would get a handful of people unless we have a staff meeting or a going away party. We don't see everyone anymore. It's been kind of hard.
Yeah. No, again, it's like that's the double-edged blessing of it.
So we're excited about it. We're excited about the new place. We'll have desks again out in the newsroom, I think, and so we'll get to bounce ideas off reporters and stuff. So it'll be cool. We're not there for another week or so.
Great. What kind of camera are you using now? I mean, I don't want to be too techie.
We switched to. I think it's been 4 years now. We got A1. Sony's.
Oh, you switched to Sony. Yeah. Wow. Interesting.
So we had talked about it in my photo class. People were always asking me about mirrorless, and I just kind of ignored them and said they're not good enough or whatever, because I had never used one.
Yeah.
We had a Panasonic mirrorless we used in the courtroom because it was really quiet, but it wasn't great. A great camera. So all my knowledge was with that. But as soon as Rick Bomer, who worked for AP, got his mirrorless camera, it got us all curious about it because
the A1's an astonishing camera.
Yeah, because all of AP moved to that.
Oh, did it?
Just like maybe 4.5 years ago.
Really?
So once they did that, we started looking at it, and I honestly didn't know if we'd ever get new cameras again. ever because of the situation.
And also budgets and stuff, yeah.
And we had just become a nonprofit at the Tribune, which was super cool. And so that felt like maybe that might work, but somehow it did. And so we were able to get, really good lenses and good cameras and state of the art. Having state of the art stuff is beautiful, and it really helps your, I don't know, it helps everything. It helps your
every party working. Yeah,
you want to push it to its limits, and you want to. So getting like 30 frames a second for sports was like mind-boggling, and it creates a whole bunch of other problems. But it was so much fun.
Yeah, well, 50 megapixel files at 30 frames per second. I mean,
so you've got all kinds of problems with storage and where do you put it, and how long does it take to download, and so it's
making so much data.
More problems than it helped almost, but it's so fun. And the cameras are so good now, and the focus is so good that I've never had so much fun doing sports photography.
Especially with tracking. It's being so amazing now. Yeah. But that's interesting. So what were you using before the Sony A1?
We were Nikon.
Oh, you're still Nikon. Canon's been the standard for a long time.
So we were Nikon for 20-something years, and then switched to Canon in about 2005.
Okay.
And then had those for 8 years until they were way outdated. And some of us had even bought our own Canons that were better, like the...
Jeez, that is hard times.
The 7Ds were really good, and they shot video. So a lot of us bought those before, because the older cameras weren't very good.
Yeah.
Anyway, but we were tied to the Denver Post for a while. We were owned by the same owner.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Singleton.
And they were phenomenally good photojournalists of paper. And they won Pulitzers and stuff for photojournalism, I think.
Yeah, and God, what's the guy's name that was the photo editor? Mm-hmm. I've known him since.
So they'd administrate you even. You would interact.
Sort of. They helped us get a Nikon deal.
Oh, deal. Oh, so because they were so big.
Since they had got Nikon and they bought it every so often.
So you're using like Nikon D3s?
Yeah. So we got the D4s.
D4s. Okay,
and those were nice. Those were good cameras. But we had to switch all of our big glass to back and forth, which is kind of a hassle.
No, that is a hassle. Yeah, but it's interesting.
For 8 people, it was hard.
At Getty, it's Canon. I mean, it was like just totally Canon. I mean, I think it's beginning to, like you're saying, but it was like, if you didn't shoot Canon, like you were just, what are you doing?
It was a weird thing. We were all Nikon. Desert News, Ogden, Herald, almost everyone was Nikon. And then we all went Canon all about the same time.
No, I remember that time,
And then we're the only ones that switched back that I know of. Temporarily. And then I think the News is doing, I think they're still doing Canon mirrorless, but we love the Sonys. It took me 2 years to get used to it, but I love it.
Yeah, well,
it's so hard to figure out if you make a mistake and hit the wrong button accidentally, try to figure out.
Because the menus are a mess.
Oh, it's so hard.
Yeah, the user interface on Sony's is a pain.
But they're amazing cameras, but we love them.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting. And cinematography, Sony's making big inroads. A lot of they're kind of eating into Arri, which was the traditional high end, but a lot of movies you see in theaters now are shot on Sony's. The Sony Venice, it's like a $60,000 camera. In fact, this interesting thing, I'm probably maybe too geeky for the podcast. Sony is spinning off its sensor division, and it's going to be a $50 billion company.
Wow.
Because they make sensors for like Nikon now, and virtually every camera that's not Canon has a Sony sensor in it, even if it's not a Sony branded camera.
Wow.
But anyway, back to the art of it. So what type of work are you being asked to do now? I'm guessing you can't commit a lot of time to projects, or maybe you can commit more.
We kind of do a little bit. It's hard, and people think, well, with just 4 of you, you must be super busy. How do you do everything?
Yeah.
But when they trimmed us down, this is like 5 years ago. This is before
social media, nonprofit.
This is when things were spinning down with when we were owned by the hedge fund.
Oh yeah,
that everything.
Hedge fund, their job was to spin you down. Yeah. I mean, that's what hedge funds do. And when that happened, I thought you were finished.
We thought we were too.
Yeah.
John Huntsman and Paul's totally saved us. They bought the paper. John said all the right things. He bought it for the right reason, and it really was huge for us to know that he was the owner and now was going to. And we had to split from the joint operation agreement, so that was kind of tricky too, because we had to get our own advertising department. And
so that's more overhead
and everything. So it was kind of a funky, weird process, but right now it's great. I'm having a good time. I love it still. I am working much differently than I was before. We still are doing projects occasionally. I'm going down to Cedar City this week to do some stuff on the Arts Festival.
Oh, good.
And we're doing a little bit of video.
And they got you a hotel room and stuff?
Well, I don't know yet.
I don't know yet. That's the funny thing about budgets.
No, they would get one if they needed to.
Yeah.
It's been approved.
And it's been approved. Oh, great.
But It's hard because we do a lot of things differently than we did. We don't do preps like we used to do. There are a bunch of things we don't cover like we used to. We don't do all of the walkathons and all of the festivals and stuff.
Oh, so you cut back on some of the routine events. Yeah.
But we do, but the stuff we do is really important. I think we cover stuff at the legislature better than we ever had the last 3 or 4 years. And I think the writers are better than they were and take it more serious. And even the young writers are really, really good. And so, so the stuff that we do when we do homeless stories on the homelessness problem, we do a really good job. I mean, they take it very serious. And so it's different than it used to be. I can't really think about, I can't think about what we did in the past as far as going out and shooting.
It's just a different game.
Crazy fun things. I just have to concentrate and do the best job I can at what we're doing now.
How big was your department, your photo department, when it's at its peak? How many staff photographers? You had 10. So that's quite a few.
I think maybe we had 9 and an intern and eventually 10. And then we had 2 techs and a photo editor and an assistant photo editor. So there was probably 14 or 15 in the department at the time. And so it's very different now. And it's good and bad. You know, when stuff's coming up, you have a 25% chance of shooting whatever it is, whether it's a jazz playoff game or, you know, something super cool or something really bad and boring. You've got a 1 in 4 chance of doing it, depending on the days you work. Yeah. But it's fun because a lot of us do stuff on our days off too. We don't, you know, we don't really work 8 to 5 like we did before and wait for that thing to come on our assignment. Yeah. That kind of started happening with the protests and stuff, and you know, after George Floyd.
Yeah. When it's small staff, you have to be flexible.
We made sure someone was there every night, whether we were scheduled or not. Jeremy was really good at making sure we were there for stuff like that. And I think we learned a lot from being there. And so Trent and Fran and I and Bethany, who's new, is really plugged into what's going on. We don't want to miss the big stuff that's going on. And so we'll be there somehow, some way. Which is kind of fun, because before with 8 people or 10 people, you would have someone assigned and you didn't want to encroach on their thing.
You had to watch out.
Now there's only 4 of you. I don't mind if Trent shows up or Fran shows up or Bethany, because one can do video, one can do stills, one can do. And so we work together a lot more than we used to, which is really fun. And I think we really, you know, the stuff that we do cover, you know, I think the Tribune does a really good job. We still print twice a week, which a lot of people don't know about. And the Sunday paper is really good. It has all the sections. It has, you know, it has.
So what days of the week do you print? Sunday and
it's
Wednesday?
Mailed to your house.
Mailed to your house.
So Saturday night you get the Sunday paper in the mail. Okay. And then you get the paper on Wednesday in the mail too. And so those are done kind of like a magazine style. We do them all in advance, which is also so we do projects.
Where do you print them? Do you still have that big printing facility that the Joint JOA had?
No. That was like a state-of-the-art thing.
Like
that
huge.
Kind of.
If you ever want to see, I mean, I don't know if there's videos of it, but seeing like an old school printing press pump out 100,000 copies of a newspaper, it's like gorgeous. It's just like this beautiful dance of printing. But anyway.
Yeah, that thing kind of ran its life. The life expectancy of that thing is only so long.
Yeah.
And because it was one of a kind and it was from Europe, to replace some of the parts were so expensive.
Yeah.
So we had our paper done for a while in Las Vegas, I think, and now it's printed somewhere in Utah.
Oh, is it?
I don't know if it's Bountiful.
But it's probably not dedicated. They print probably a lot of things, right? They just put you on the press and then they put something else on. Yeah.
And then it was hard to rethink the whole circulation thing. And so I'm speaking for myself now, not for the Tribune.
Oh no, so we recognize this. Oh gosh, we should begin with that.
But anyway, it's. You know, it's cool, and I really love the Sunday paper because I really miss reading every day, and so it takes me 2 or 3 days to get through it all because it's a huge paper, just like it used to be. It's very fun.
Yeah,
we run stories from the New York Times and other collaboratives. Tribune's part of these collaboratives that are doing stories on the Great Salt Lake and different things. Yeah, and so we do a lot of really cool things that we weren't doing 4 and 5 years ago.
No, in a way, and
it's really there's a lot of optimism, and the editors and this, you know, the front office is really supportive of photographers better than they've ever been, which is very cool. And getting new equipment was a huge, kind of a step forward to have them have that faith in us that the 4 of us could still keep doing great stuff, and we were worth getting good equipment for. And so we want to do a good job, and we're all working as hard as we can and enjoying it.
Yeah. So how do they use your photographs like on social media? I mean,
you know, that's the other.
Do you have any say in that or any control? Because I mean, back in the day, like we need to control the layout.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like a big thing, and photo department would have some say over it. But like with social media, I mean, how does that even work?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but it's kind of cool in a way too. So when we do a story, it will almost always show up in the daily version of the Tribune, saltlaketribune.com. It'll be there. You can find it. But then we also have an e-edition, which a lot of people don't know about, which is the paper laid out like a real paper with a front page, second page, sports page. It's electronic, so you can page through and see everything that way. Yeah. So you can see if your picture's the lead picture on A1 or B1 or whatever.
Yeah, because that used to be the thing, like to have a picture above the fold. That was like the cool thing to have.
And so we still have artists.
So you have something like that.
They still do that every day to the paper. And so if you subscribe to that, you can download it and read it, and you can actually click on it and have it read to you by an electronic voice.
Oh, that's fun. Cool yeah. So you could listen to it on your commute and stuff.
Yeah. It was just super cool. But anyway, so when we do an assignment, it can be, it'll be online probably somewhere, and then it'll probably be in the e-edition somewhere. And then it will be oftentimes in the print edition in one of those 2 days. And then it could also be on Instagram. So we do a lot of Instagram stories, and a lot of stuff we do, if it's not a great assignment, it'll go on Instagram. It won't go somewhere else. Or we do little videos for Instagram. And so a lot of times, we do these little vertical videos that get tons and tons of hits.
Yeah. Well,
so we have like more tools, I guess.
Yeah. More distribution points.
And so it's kind of fun in a way. And so if you do something really good, it might hit all four. Yeah. And if it's something that's not that photographically that interesting, or the story's not.
Yeah, for me, like my great achievement, what I would feel really is like we were contracted with NBC for some shoots. And so sometimes our photographs would end up on the homepage of MSN because like the MSNBC. Yeah. Like to me, that was it. Like if I ever had a picture on the homepage of MSN, I was like, that's my Time magazine cover, But it's so fleeting. It's like so fleeting. It is. Like you do a screen capture of it, and you're like, But if you had like a magazine, it would like last, But so that is it's just an interesting the way people interact. How much video do you guys shoot nowadays? Do you generate video, or do you have separate people for that?
We do a little bit. Trevor Christensen is our video guy now. He was in Provo for a while.
Do you shoot those with the A1?
So he has real video equipment and does really good stuff, like long-term kind of stuff, and he helps reporters do it. So we're not responsible to come up with videos with all the reporters.
So you don't edit and stuff?
We do a little bit.
Because that's a huge job, like post-production video. Yeah.
So we don't spend a lot of time doing post-production like we have in other waves of video. Yeah. We've gone through a lot of waves of a lot of video and no video, and right now we're doing a few videos. We're trying to do like evergreen videos for YouTube, where we'll do things like I did a thing last year on swimming in the Great Salt Lake, like why people don't swim in the Great Salt Lake. And I did a thing on the sun tunnels out in the West Desert. And so those were kind of just videos that they look at as evergreen. So people will search for those anytime. They can run this year, next year, whenever someone wants to watch them. The sun tunnels don't change. And Great Salt Lake's still there.
It is
to swim in.
So should we swim in the Great Salt Lake? I've never even heard of people doing it. It's
the coolest thing ever. Yeah,
like you just float. It used to be like a spa, like it was like a luxury to go floating because you can't sink, right? Because it's so
like
salt.
That. It's very cool.
And
you just have to get past that first layer of brine flies.
Yeah.
I mean, there are flies out there, but they don't bite or sting you.
Yeah.
But this time of year, especially when it's been hot, the lake's really warm, and so you go out there, in the afternoon, and the sunsets are amazing in Antelope Island. So it's a long walk from the beach to the water. Yeah. So it takes some
depending on where the water level is. Yeah.
But no, it's very cool. It's
yeah, I think it's like magical. Just something like here in Utah Lake, the counties even do an ad campaign like you can go to Utah Lake because they had some algae blooms like 5 years ago, and then that hasn't been a problem, but it just that killed the traffic. People are like, oh, there's algae, I don't want to go. So Salt Lake probably struggles with the same thing. One bad year.
Well, I noticed that most of the people out there were foreigners or people driving across country that would stop and swim there, but there was almost no one from Utah that would go out and swim. And I used to know some people that went out, 10 or 12 years ago, and they would go out kind of as a therapy thing and just float until sunset, and because it's so peaceful.
Well, the Salt Air Resort was like famous for being able to do that back when they thought it could like heal your tuberculosis or whatever. Right. Yeah. But someone needs to build a boardwalk to get past the flies. Yeah, we need to market it. Well, good. Salt Lake Tribune's doing it. Your namesake. Yeah. So we're named after this place. That's right. I like to think like like when they named the Salt Lake City, it was back when salt was still a major food preservative.
Oh yeah.
And so like salt was really valuable. So it was kind of like they were naming it like Gold Lake City. It's like, we've got all the salt you could ever need before refrigeration. Anyway, I read this book on salt.
That's
and
funny.
It's like, anyway, whereas now Salt Lake might have like Dead Lake. It's kind of more of a negative connotation, I think. But so that's cool. So when do you retire? What's here's your future? Or?
I don't know. I love what I'm doing. I mean,
if you have a fun job that you love, why retire?
So Bagley just retired, and so all these old people from the Tribune were there to see him off, and I'll ask him.
He was a famous cartoonist.
Dave Noyce has been there 6 months longer than me, and I'm the second oldest person at the paper right now.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing being that old guy, because I remember the old guys when I started, and now realizing those old guys were only like in their late 50s when they.
It's funny how age changes.
When they kind of got sick or had cancer or had problems and forced to
retire. Well, people age a lot more.
So it was
quick back
so
then,
it was. It's very. I'm very. I can't even say how grateful I am and how blessed I've been to be able to do this
to be
job.
healthy, and
even for 5 or 6 years, but to do it a whole career in Salt Lake has been amazing. It wasn't my idea. I was going to work here for 4 or 5 years and move on to the West Coast somewhere or somewhere back east.
No, honestly, a daily paper, a daily state paper, I think is the best job you can have.
It really is, and it's a good enough.
And even the size of the Salt Lake Tribune, like if you were I never worked there, but you talk to guys, you get the big papers like New York Times or Chicago and stuff. You get drama. It's just because there's more people, right?
And a lot of them just do one thing. They do baseball.
Yeah, you specialize. Like that was a bummer. Like when I went from SIPA to Getty. Like SIPA, I could cover whatever I want because it was a small agency. It's mainly in France. Didn't have very many in America. But then when I Getty, it was like, oh, you can't cover Sundance anymore because we have the whole division that covers celebrity stuff.
That's right. Yeah.
And I'd be like, what? That was so much fun. Like, yeah, the Wire Image division. We have 10 photographers already assigned to that. I'm like, So you have to specialize and. Yeah, so it's the Salt Lake Tribune, 10 photographers, perfect.
Yeah, I used
perfect
to
situation.
Love Sundance. I have a thing on Facebook. It's a goofy thing, but when I was on one of my first assignments for the Salt Lake Tribune, I ran into Dave LaBelle, that same photographer I'm telling you about. This tall, lanky, weird guy with this big, long beard, wacky dude. And I'm seeing him and saying, "What is this guy doing?" He was taking pictures of, I think it was Cheryl Ladd or someone from Charlie's Angels was at some dairy conference or something. Yeah. And after she spoke, he went up and did a selfie with her with his camera. He took a picture of him with this movie star. And I'm like, well, what was that all about? And because he was a really friendly guy. Yeah. And he says, oh, you got to start doing that. You won't believe the people you're going to meet in your career. If you see anything famous or anything, get a picture with them. They don't care. They'll love it. Just, hold this camera up and say, just look right here and do it, and then just get out of their way. Don't spend a lot of time doing it. And I've never had anyone get mad at me for doing it. No. And so I started doing that and got all kinds of cool stuff at Sundance for years. I get one every year or two now. But it's been kind of a fun conversation piece.
So you got to cover Sundance by being at a paper.
Yeah, so I've got all kinds of everyone from Stephen Hawking to Glenn Close and all kinds of famous people that would show up every year. And so so that was another kind of funky thing that I don't think I ever would have done until I realized that this wacky weird guy with the beard was Dave LaBelle, and he was one of the best photographers in the whole nation.
And he was doing it.
Do it. Maybe I can do that. Because selfies weren't a thing, and it's hard to hold up a big, motor drive.
It's like heavy, and you don't really know where it's going.
And shoot a bunch of things, and so a lot of them are bad and they're back focused and not good. But I thought I'm never going to ask him to do it.
They didn't have flip screens,
and you couldn't tell
back then either.
You didn't know till you got back that picture of you with whoever
with Scarlett Johansson. Shoot, darn it!
I don't know if I got.
I'm kidding. Yeah.
But it's been kind of a fun conversation piece, and but it's been frustrating because I've got hundreds in the first 10 years and just a few since then.
Well, Sundance is really completely different than it used to be.
We're on the other side of the red carpet now, so we can't.
Oh, are you?
It's hard to get past that barrier.
Oh yeah. Well, again, it's like Sundance. After Robert Redford retired, Sundance has changed a lot. Like the whole staff has changed and so on. Yeah. But anyway.
We'll miss it though.
Yeah, we'll miss it. Well, we'll miss it, but it really is very, very different. I mean, I've attended it every year for 20 years pretty much, and it's like in various contexts. We supplied gear for them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it's very different, and it's Anyway, I hope independent film, the thing that really hurt independent film was Netflix. Because it used to be you could make independent film and you wouldn't sell it in the US, but you could sell it to run at 10 in the morning in Sweden. And then all that. And then you think about it, there's like a lot of Swedens. And they can't afford the Hollywood content, so they get the independent stuff. But that kind of all fell apart. So I think anyway, so it's hard to be an independent filmmaker nowadays. And that extends to Sundance. But anyway, so that's great. So what are you most proud of in your career? And what is most, I mean, it doesn't have to be a project, but just like the body of work. I mean, being the eyes for so many people in Salt Lake City, for Utah over the years. And
I don't know. I've done a lot of things that have been really fun that I'm proud of that have, like the Olympics were always incredible.
Yeah. Well, syndicating. Yeah.
But, and going to Nagano, Japan was kind of my favorite thing. If anyone talked my favorite assignment, that was probably still might be it.
Oh, but so you were assigned to cover Nagano, Japan.
Yeah, and that was neat. Incredible. But it's just, I mean, it doesn't matter where you go or what you do. I think it's the people that you need to care about the people you're shooting. You need to kind of get to know them if you can, if you have a chance, and put the work into it. I think the most memorable thing, at least right now, is the protest in 2020.
Oh yeah, the George Floyd protest.
Super powerful, and I think that was really important. And it was really hard to do what we did to cover those things. But it was really interesting. I got to know a lot of the protesters. I got to learn a lot about myself and the way I treat people different than me. And I got to listen to all these speeches, and it was a life-changing thing for me to be able to, because the Bernardo protests went on for more than 2 months every night. I
remember them.
And so whether there was 10 or 12 people there, or whether there was, a couple of thousand, one of our photographers were there the whole time.
Wow.
We would be, are they going to be at the federal building? Are they going to be at the Capitol? And so I made some friends of some of the protesters, and a lot of them helped with the unsheltered people.
Yeah. So that's really neat. That's really great. No, that's good. That's good work.
To get to see something that most people just, those were riots, or these weren't great, or why are they doing that? They're people without jobs, they're paid protesters, whatever. But to get to know the people and know why they do it, and to get to photograph them doing what they love and what they care about was very cool. And then that kind of went right into the homeless, the homeless people who care for the homeless people, and the people who help feed the unsheltered and take care of them were some of these same people that were leading the protests.
Oh, interesting.
And they're my heroes. They're amazing people, and they still do amazing stuff out there today, every day, with people that are unsheltered. And so that's kind of stuck with me the most, and I hope it still does. And I hope I'm able to kind of do more stories, because I learned, for a long time we didn't do much stuff on the unsheltered because they don't like to talk to reporters. They don't like to have their picture taken.
Oh yeah, no.
But if you're there with the people who work with them every day and they introduce you to them, if you're out in the homeless situation and you're with Ty Bellamy and she's been there every day for a couple of years, says, "Hey, talk to Rick. He's from the paper. He's a good guy." They'll sit and tell you anything, and they'll let you take their picture, and they'll let you follow them around.
Yeah.
And we got some great stories out of that. And those are kind of my favorite things in the last. It's hard to think of 30 years worth of stuff.
No. I mean, it's so much. It's so much. Yeah, so much.
I did take a picture of this polar bear once at the zoo. That's probably the most seen picture.
Oh, really?
Hugging the little polar bear. It's a poster. If you Google my name, you'll get polar bear hug, which is the Tribune actually sold the rights to the picture because we were getting so many prints we couldn't keep up with it.
That's the downside of being a staff photographer. But yeah.
A polar bear at the zoo is what I'm probably most famous for.
Polar bear hug zoo.
It's a fun picture, and I don't feel bad about it. But anyway.
No, that's great. That's interesting. So, it's been so nice to talk to you. And I just remembered it was Fujifilm 800 speed, and it said press on the side of the can.
That's right. Yeah.
That was like the best film ever, because it was like high grain. It was high resolution 800 speed film. Yeah. And it was like magic. You could push it to 1600. I mean, of course, like nowadays with digital, like these numbers are nothing, but having 800 speed film that's high resolution was a big deal. And that was like the brick of film everyone had. It was like Fuji press. Yeah. Good times. Oh, the memory. So anyway, yeah. So, well, anyway, come check out Red Finch Lab, and thank you so much for talking to us, Rick. This was a really good chat.
Thanks for having me.
And, And the weird thing is, I feel like we could go for another hour and a half and you'd have plenty to say. And no, but that's the magic thing about being a photojournalist. You don't need to apologize. You think you have that many experiences. You've had that life. Like we have a t-shirt we give out at Red Finch Rental, and we're going to make a t-shirt for Red Finch Lab. But on it says filmmaking is a way to live multiple lifetimes.
Oh, wow.
And honestly, I think photojournalism and we're being a staff photographer at a daily paper in particular is one of the best ways. Like you get to be and interact with so many people. And that's the thing I value about that time when I did it was like, I just got to meet all these really amazing people. And just, even if it's just like a person at a fair or if it's, like the president of Japan or whatever, you just get to meet all these different types of people. And it's just wonderful interactions to have with them.
It is. And there's a lot of responsibility still too. We don't want to go out and take pictures of, you need to stay true to what's happening there.
No, you're doing
even the protests we're covering. You don't want to shoot only the weirdest people or the craziest people. You need to shoot it,
Yeah, well, I mean that's the reporter's thing.
Story, in an honest way, and that's a fun thing and also a hard thing to do.
Yeah, well, and also, I mean, what your experience may be different than the picture that comes out. I mean, to me, that's the interesting thing. Like I remember going through my portfolio once, and it's just such an emotional experience because you're going through like all these stories. You remember everything happened around that photo you took, but like people, it's just the photo for them.
Yeah.
But for you, it's like your whole life is wrapped around those photos.
Exactly.
So yeah. Anyway, thank you for talking with us, Rick. Like and subscribe this podcast. And that was really enjoyable. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
Have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.